the advice my parents gave me long time ago, which I want to share with you, I thought was great advice, is always study smart, don't study hard. Because if you study hard, it's just gonna, go make you go crazy. But if you study smart and if you plan everything nicely, then you're just gonna get through it with a breeze. I promise you that. That's what I've been doing. So, choose your subjects wisely. Don't go cramping up. Make it easy. And
Hello, good afternoon. I am tongue-tied because I'm bringing someone who is very special. I'm sure he's very special to you too. So I'm tongue-tied, but this is still Malar from Hearts and Minds Development Center in Being Whole, Being Me series. Thank you for joining us in episode 85. And today we are bringing you a celebrity. I'm going to use the word celebrity as many times as I can today because Prem Shanker, aka Primo Supremo, doesn't think he is a celebrity. But then you realize, right? You listen to him every morning and you imagine him smiling, his laughter coming through, making you laugh, and he slowly inches into your heart in a way that you would never be able to understand. And before you know it, you're saying, I love you, Prem. And I can tell you, he is always echoing, I love you too. I've stopped asking whether he cares or not, or whether he means it or not, because I feel really good when I see him, when I hear his voice and laughter. And please put your hands together wherever you are. Say hello to our dearest darling, Primo Supremo. Let's welcome him. Hello, darling.
hello, darling.
Hi. Do
Hello.
you think I can get another job?
Yes, very doable. You have a lovely voice, I must say. I agree. There's this thing. It's look at that. Regina already saying you were tongue tied.
He says it's
I
hard to believe. So, Reggie, can you imagine if it's hard to believe what effect this young man has on me? Gee. Hello, Primo. Okay.
Hello, Regina.
Do you know Regina?
No, I'm just looking at the comments. I do know Gerald though, who's just saying hi. Gerald and I
He's
talk a
talking.
lot
Yeah,
on social media. Gerald seems like a genuine, beautiful man. I'd love to meet him one day. We owe each other drinks. So, Gerald, yes, one day soon, brother G.
Okay, G, after me, okay? He said, wow, Prem is in the house. Lah. Correct, lah. Prem is in the house, but before in the house, he's in the heart first. So, Prem, welcome. Thank you for saying yes to our show. I've said this many times, but I'm really, really grateful that you said yes to us. So, thank you for being here. So, how are you feeling today?
Should I be honest, like 100%, or
No, is there anything other than honesty with you? I don't think you know how to be anything else, right? Do you?
it's true? Unfortunately, today I'm feeling a bit on the downside. I woke up feeling a bit fluish, so my
Mm.
energy may not be as optimal. But for you, Muller, I am calling upon all the energy gods inside my body, and I'm channeling power and love from you, so I will be able to give you the best.
Thank you very much. I think you are as good as you are. So thank you for saying that to us. I think it's also nice to meet a sober Prem.
Yes, but actually, a not so sober Prem is more fun, if you know what I mean.
No, but we've seen that side of it. Let's see the other side of it. Maybe we'll feel like, and the celebrity is also human, right? Now, Roshni Ganesan has said hello.
Yes. Hello, Roshni Akka. I call her Roshni Akka.
Yeah, exactly. And I told her to DM me all your private stuff, the things that you did, so that I can
Roshni
use.
Akka literally has known me since I was a baby, right? So she would know everything, quite literally, yes.
Yeah, but unfortunately, she just refused to give anything.
And that's the family understanding we sign. It's a pact.
Yeah, so which means that we really need to get up close and personal with you, and you got to
Okay.
tell us as much as we want to find out about you. So, Prem,
Okay.
tell me, when you saw the introduction, we digged up some stuff about you. And if you want to sue anybody, it would be my colleague Kirtana. I will give you her details later. She's the one
Okay.
who dug up everything about you. I was reading, and you did say that in the beginning that it was unfortunate that you couldn't pursue your education. You got into work first. So it seemed to me when I read that you had always wanted to pursue a degree, and
Yes.
then you got carried away with
Yeah.
work for whatever reason, and then you're
Yeah.
pursuing it. So tell us a little bit about, maybe we could start from then, and tell us a bit about your journey as to uh, what happened and why you didn't pursue your journey, and then how you became the star that we all love.
Okay. So let's go back, way back in time.
Dang,
Okay.
dang, dang. We're doing the Indian way. Okay, but never mind. Okay, go. We do the French.
Um, well, you know, I was a very adventurous child. Adventurous also equals rebellious, As soon as I got out of school, I went to college. My father was very happy to send me. But because I wanted to, I don't know, reconnect with my dad then. I thought I'd study something that my father is very good at. My father's a person with IT knowledge background, and he worked in the IT line for many, many years. Um, so I thought maybe, as you grow up, I was also always closer to my mother, but I wanted to connect to my dad. So I thought maybe, hey, by studying something, that relates to him, we could have conversations about information technology or whatsoever. But I think that was the biggest mistake I did. Computers and I did study. I think was it 1 or 2 semesters, um, but it wasn't for me. And obviously, I didn't do very well. So I left uni halfway, and I think that's when my dad was, being the strict Indian parent that he is. But it was a very good life lesson that my father decided to teach me, and I love it. He said, "Okay, I've spent all this money, and I didn't go to a cheap university. So bless him, he did pay for my education, and I will say this: I messed up. So he said, you know what, you I'm not going to pay for any more education. You're going to go and work and earn your own money, and you need to understand the value of money." And I think that was the best lesson given to me at that age. Because when you're younger, you think that the credit card is a powerful card. Like, where's this card coming from? How come it just buys me things? I had that mentality in my head, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yes, I think at the age of 19, then I went and did different odd jobs. It was funny. I was selling biscuits on the street. I joined this month. I think it was an MLM company. In the mornings they got together, they huddle up, and they had like a chant, like, "We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this," and then they'd give you a box of biscuits, and now take the bus and go to Bunting and sell Uncle Toby's. Do you remember the brand Uncle Toby's?
Yes, yes, I do.
Yes, I was in Bunting, and I ran so quickly from that job. I got at the next bus and came back, and I said, "I can't do this. It's not for me." Um, After that, I dabbled in a little bit of customer service. I was actually answering phone calls for two different telcos. When you call the helpline and ask why your line not working, lah, I paid my bill, why am I still barred? I reloaded my prepaid, why is it not in? So that was the guy behind the phone, me going, "Hi, good afternoon, how can I help you?"
Hey, if we
Um,
have time, we can do a role play, for fun.
sure, sure. I still have it in me.
Okay.
Okay, so all this was very quickly between 19, within 1 year, I did all that. So I think at the age of 20, if I'm not mistaken, I did go back to uni for the second time. And this time I did what I would do best, which is mass comm. I was very fortunate to be given a scholarship as well. But halfway through this scholarship, again, my sister at this point had graduated from school. And obviously now my dad had to fund two children in education. And I had technically had my chance. Um, but I messed it up. And my sister always had the dream to go to Australia to study. And I was thinking, oh my God, as an older brother, I have this responsibility. So I told my dad, I'll try and look for a job so I can sustain myself because I was on a scholarship. So the tuition fee was kind of paid for, but everything else obviously still needed money, right? And every single cent would allow my dad to send my sister to Australia. I didn't want to burden him. So I was looking again for a part-time job. And that's when I saw the call for the Hits FM cruises. And I remember one friend telling me, it's like, hey, you can never shut up. You always talk. Why don't you finally put your mouth where the money is? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So I applied. And then in 2014, I can't remember how old I was, but that doesn't matter. But that's when I joined the Hits FM. I joined the Hits FM cruises. And when I started working, I got more and more. I saw the money and I understood the value of money at this point. But the thing is, when you start seeing money, this is not the right thing to say, but at that point, education didn't seem as important as it was. So I'm like, hey, I'm already earning. Why do I need a degree in mass comm? Like, hey, I'm in the radio now. So from then on, I worked my way up. So literally started from the bottom. Now I'm here. So I started with the ground team, understood how radio would work. We would go out in the sun. The Hits cruises, they still exist right now, but not as often as anymore. But if you remember, we would go out 3 to 4 times a day in the sun and give out prizes to our listeners, so on and so forth. So, and then I was given the opportunity to be a weekend and part-time announcer on Hits. I did that. And then the competitor radio station opened up 2 years later. And they rang me and said, hey, would you want to come out and give it a try? So I went for an audition for the first time ever, nervous. But my then boss saw something in me and she said, you know what? We're going to give you your own show at night. And I was like, no way. Are you serious? And I left in a heartbeat. I left Hits. And when you leave one radio company to another, it's upon the discretion of the company. Technically, you're going to a competitor. So I could leave in 24 hours upon the discretion. So my bosses at Hits said, okay, look, we understand there's no place for you right now, but go build your career, but we have to let you go in 24 hours. I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. Yes. So I then joined Fly FM. For 8 years, I was there. And that's when I said, okay, so radio itself is not enough. I need to do more. I wanted to just become this superhero, right, in the entertainment industry. And then formed and the power of Primo Supremo was found. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do? I was very fortunate at that point. The ATV Quickie was looking for a host. I auditioned for that. I was also very nervous. But hey, I got that. And I was on TV for 5 years. And if I may humble brag just a little bit, small bit, one of my partners on the couch next to me on the ATV Quickie, I don't know if you ever watched a TV show, but it's a couch where we just sat down on a couch and talked about stuff. My partner was the one and the only Henry Golding. So he's my machala, I can say that. Yeah. So Henry was one of my first ever partners, and we were still friends, in case you want to know. So I got on TV, and then after TV, I'm like, I need to do more. I want to do some more. So because I enjoyed interacting with people, I loved just the energy that came from people. The energy from people gives me energy. So from radio, from TV, and just being able to give joy to people on TV and radio, I said, how else can I give joy? And then I'm like, you know what? What if I became a DJ? That's something I've never done before. And I used to, when I went to the clubs and I noticed my DJ friends performing on the decks, we would be so happy to the music they played. While sipping on our drinks, and every time the DJ drops a song, we're like, yeah, that's my song. I wanted to be able to do that, right? To make people happy, just to be on the dance floor. So, and then I said, hey, I want to become a DJ. So I went and took DJ classes. And the next thing you know, I'm playing in the clubs um,
Mm.
around the country. I was invited to different states, uh, guest DJing in Penang, guest DJing in JB. I was a resident DJ in one of the biggest clubs, Denla, in KL. If you remember, Mist Club in Bangsa, one of the biggest clubs. I was DJing there for 6 years. So all this simultaneous. And then that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. So I'm like, what else can I do? I want to make people happy. How else can I make people happy? Oh, okay. Let's open up a bar and a restaurant. So I collected enough money, partnered up with some of my friends who are part of the industry, and we decided to open an English bar smack in the middle of Damansara. And yes, so I was doing all this at the same time. I was a radio DJ, a club DJ, I was on TV, and I was a restaurateur. So coming back to your question, Malar, at this point, there was no education in my mind because I'm like, I'm doing everything. There's no space for education, right? So let's fast forward now to this part of my life. I call it phase 2 or phase 3 or whatever, right?
Right.
So obviously, yes, after 5-6 years, I got off TV, and TV is something that's not so watched anymore amongst the urban folks. So the show that I did also, unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore. Once I got off TV, I had a bit more time to myself. Then I decided to stop DJing as well because I was getting very unhealthy. Working in the mornings and then being on TV at nights and then rushing to play the DJ gigs at night. I would go home like 5. The clubs then open till 3 a.m. and it doesn't end at 3 a.m. for DJs because after we shut down, we want to wind down a little bit. So, you talk to the remaining customers who refuse to leave and then you start drinking. So I used to end up going home at about 5-6 in the morning. And this is probably 24 hours later, literally. So my health was deteriorating at quite a rapid speed. And I'm like, okay, I have to start taking care of myself. Otherwise, I might drop dead before I'm 35 or whatsoever. So I told my DJing partner, I'm like, thank you for all the lessons. I truly appreciate, but I'm calling out. So I stepped away from DJing. But we made a decision and a pact together that we would do specials together. So if we were invited for a huge DJing gig, then we would do it together, but not a weekend. What we call in the DJ world residency. I wouldn't do a residency anymore. Then, unfortunately, due to some unfortunate circumstances of rent increment, we decided to shut the bar down. My partners and I as well. So yes, then I had a lot more time to focus on just radio. So by this time, I had gone back to Astro Radio from the competitor. I was called back to Astro Radio. And yes, that's the story. And then in the middle of 2020, I decided to go back to studying at the age of 37. Yes, 37, 3 years ago. In the middle of the pandemic, I'm like, yes, let's pick up some studying. Yeah. You're on mute, Muller.
I said we're going to dive into your love story, but I have a couple of questions. Based on the story that you told me, right? So what I'm hearing is that you initially, got excited and you joined when you joined the crew. It was about money, you said, right? At which point did you fall in love with all the things that you were doing? Because what's clear, and you've said it over and over again, you want to make people happy,
Yeah.
right? So in everything that you were doing, the common theme, your common superpower was making people happy, right? But in that space, right, like when we all start off our careers for the money, right? Sometimes we land on the right one, we figure things out, we find ourselves, right? Do you remember at which point you realized that you fell in love with your career, which is actually to make people happy? Do you remember? And if
Yes.
you, can you tell us the story?
Yes, this was when I first joined the cruises. This was the moment I knew it that I wanted to be in the people industry.
Mm-hmm.
and making people happy industry. I was earning peanuts. Let me tell you that. Let me absolutely honest. We were earning 8 ringgit an hour, but it
Mm-hmm.
was never about the job. I don't know how long we did it. No matter what sun, what rain, we would still go out and do it, because just being able to go out there, and because we were giving away free stuff, but to see the joy in someone getting a CD, or just movie tickets, or even a can of drink. I mean, we used to give out free drinks, ice cold Coca-Cola, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see that smile on the face, and like, oh, thank you, this is for me. Wow, when you give someone something, they just accept it so happily. And that was the moment I knew, like, just being able to put a smile on someone's face every day for the next however long I may be able to do this is what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I continued to pursue this career, and every opportunity I got
Mm.
to be in the people business, I would drive myself. And so even right now on radio, coming up with ideas every day, the thought process at the back of that idea, ultimate goal is equal to how do we make someone's day by creating this piece of content. Yeah, whether it's putting a smile on their face, or whether they feel happy going home with what we've given them. The key word here is being happy, right? The takeaway from us on air is I listened to Aisha RD and Prem, and they gave me this piece of content, and I'm happy to understand that I've learned something today. B, I've laughed so much at it until I couldn't hold my pee, or or C, um, I'm happy to know that I'm emotionally in tune. Like, for example, when we had you on, Muller, you are an emotional, intelligent person. You know a lot about emotional intelligence, and the listener feedback that we got is, oh, when Muller said this, I now understand my position in life. And that's a takeaway that made them happy. Yes, I'm obsessed with providing happiness, Mr. Naidu. Yes. I'm trying to read some comments also.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah, you're obsessed. So, yeah, going back, right? I think you've given us quite a lot of nuggets before we go on to questions, right? Um, you are obsessed with giving happiness. I mean, I think that has been very consistent in my interaction with you, right? I think your energy just gets through the screen, and you make me feel very special all the time. I know, right? But if you had to define happiness, right? So how do you know you're happy?
How do I know I'm happy?
Your
Oh,
own
this
definition
is
of happiness.
my index of happiness.
Mm.
Um, if I could put a calculation to it, um, just knowing the fact that I am able to go to work and make someone smile, or if I come home and make someone smile, or even right now making you smile, that makes me happy.
Okay.
Does
So
that count? Does that
of course it counts.
does it quantify it? Yeah.
Anything you say will count today, because I wouldn't dare disagree with you, because your fans are here. They'll kill me and they won't turn up for my next show. Okay. So anything Premo says today is okay with me. But come on,
Cannot lah. We must
they must
disagree,
not.
teacher. We must
You
disagree. We
know,
must fight her.
you are Prem, the love of our lives. You got daily things coming up here. So Prem, I understand the fact that you draw your joy when you see other people joyful. I get that, right? But how do you know? How do you define your own happiness as to when you are happy? Assuming you didn't make anybody happy. Let's just put that away.
Okay,
Right?
I see. I'm sorry I
Your
didn't
own,
answer the question earlier.
tell me,
Um,
how do you
yeah,
define your own
yeah.
happiness? How do you know that? Yeah.
I guess I'm really trying, because it's a very hard question to answer. So I'm trying to nicely bluff my way. um, I can't quantify it for you in numbers or whatsoever, but to be honest, I would answer you in such a way that because I thrive on energy.
Hmm.
When I come back and I have this energy around me, like this sense of accomplishment, there are days that sometimes I don't feel it, right? And I think now that you've asked me that question, maybe that's how I can quantify it.
So the days I walk back home and I'm like, I'm feeling, yeah, I've done it. I've done something. I'm happy. I'm productive. And I come on my computer and I do my assignment, being the good student that I am. And then I walk out of the room and I walk out this door and I'm like, yes, I've done it. I've accomplished something. Or
Yeah.
even just the simple thing of the act of washing the plates in the
Mm,
sink.
mm.
But that gives me some energy to do it. I think that would quantify as my index of happiness.
Nice, nice, lovely.
The energy that drives me to do things. But there are days that I slump and I'm like, I just want to sit back and I don't want to do anything. I think those days are where I'm not getting the love or the energy or the happiness, maybe.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Major says making someone happy is happiness. Love it, Prem. Happiness is so very affordable and doable, simply brilliant. Not everything that matters can be measured. Not everything measured matters. Love it, Major. Thank you very much for that. Now, I want to drill in a little bit because I get what you're saying. So, when you're feeling accomplished, when you feel you have had a great day the way you probably want in terms of serving people or making people feel, and when you tick your boxes that you may not be very conscious about, you feel happy. Now, can you tell us one or two things where people have done something that happened for you and it made you happy? For example, like, I know I haven't done this, so maybe someone cooking a meal and that gave you that joy, because for once you're now on the receiving end, right? So can
Yeah.
you tell us some things where things has happened and you've experienced that kind of joy or happiness that you have been giving people every day of your life?
This again is another hard question because I've experienced it many, many times.
Good. Just give us a few examples so that we can do this more for you because you're fans. I know.
No. um, I think one of my biggest love languages. You got five, right? I think
Mm,
one of my biggest is definitely acts of service. Um, for me, my wife, when she cooks a meal for me, and when I come home and I see that meal on the table, I'm so happy, and I'm the biggest fan. I'm like, oh my god, you cook this? Or sometimes even when I tell her, hey baby, I'm craving this meal, and she cooks it, and that itself is like, oh my god, I so just enjoying her food is that itself. I'm like, yay, so happy, and I will sit down and enjoy the food. And yes, so
nice.
acts of service for me is, I think, the biggest, next to um yeah, actually acts of service.
Thank you, thank you. Now, do you have any memorable moments where a fan came up and told you something, or something happened, and sometimes people say things to you, people who you don't meet on a regular basis, who are not part of your life, right? And
Yeah,
you meet a lot of those people, and I'm
yeah,
very, very sure from our conversation you've left many, I would say, footprints in people's heart, right? But
yeah.
think of any situation where someone has come and told you something that's always stuck with you, that probably makes you wake up and want to do this every other day when things are not going well.
I have a story.
Yeah.
So, but firstly, I want to say to everyone that has been supporting me on this journey since day one, I want to say a big, big thank you. And I say this all the time. It may sound cliche, but in real honesty, from the bottom of my heart, I would not be here talking to you, Malar, or being here on this chair, in front of this mic, without the support. So I saw a few messages earlier who said they listen to my show every day. Thank you. I really appreciate your love and your support that you have shown me and will continue showing me. So you cannot run away anymore. Okay, you must listen to my show wherever I go. But yes, I have had many, many, many different times where I've met the listeners who meet me in a mall or while I'm eating somewhere or at a bar, and they say, "Hey, um, thank you for putting a smile on my face. I laugh, lah. I laugh, macha. Your joke damn funny, lah, macha." So that's good. That's memorable to me. I remember all these moments. But the one thing that the question you asked, why I want to wake up and go to work every day, and this is the drive ever since. So when I was on the previous radio station, we had this show a segment on our show called Flirty at 9:30. It happened every Friday. Yeah, it was a very interesting where we would hook up two people. But the concept and the idea of the show is okay. For example, Muller, I have met you at a party, all right, and I really, really like you, and I'm interested in you, but I don't know how to ask you out. But somehow or other, I've gotten your phone number and whatsoever. So I submit my entry. All right. Back then, I think it was either email or whatever. So I write, "Hey Prem, and you got to give me the story." So I met this girl named Muller. I met her. She's amazing. I really like her. I want to ask her on a date, but I don't know how to. This is her phone number. Blah blah blah. Blah. So that comes to us. So I will talk to Prem first, lah. Okay, Prem, tell us the story again. So now this is broadcasting to the listeners, and the guy is like, "Oh, it's so beautiful in her sari, Malayali sari lah. This beautiful Malayali sari. The hair all like that, nice ponnu pakran like this all. and and then okay, so that's part one, and then in part two we will ring you because we've got your number, and then we'll introduce ourselves. Hey Prem, hey Malar, Prem from radio station. Look, we've got this radio segment, and we'll explain it briefly, and then we'll start probing you. So, did you recently go for a party? Do you remember meeting this person? Oh yeah, I did. What do you think about this person? So now this is where it gets interesting because there is the rejection element, and there's also the saying yes element. So what came out of this story, I remember it was a Chinese couple from Ipoh, this very shy boy, absolutely no confidence in himself, but he fell in love with this girl, dying to meet her, and we hooked them up. She said yes. She rejected him at first, and I went in and I said, "Look, I think there's something about this boy. Can you give him a chance?" For me, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. I know I'm supposed to be impartial, but why not? Why not? She's like, "Ayo, masa, it's so shy lah. This is radio lah." I'm like, yeah. She said yes. 1 year later, they got married.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing story.
Okay, don't answer this if you shouldn't. Are they still happily married?
I don't know. I don't know. I hope so, because the next year they had taken up. We had one of these, those radio stations would throw big birthday bashes. So we had this birthday bash, and they took a bus all the way from Ipoh, came to KL just to meet me and my partner then, Jules, and say thank you. Because of you, we are now married. And
nice. Okay, whoever knows the couple, check them out. And so obviously you never got my number from anybody, which is why I was never on the show. But that's not the point. Deepak says, ever thought of pursuing stand-up comedy? Oh yes, Flirty at 9:30 was good. Now, before you answer that question, don't answer the question, Deepak, we come back to you. Now, so you obviously, Roshni says a story to warm your heart. So yeah, you enjoy all of these love stories, right? Now, as you were saying this, Roshni asked a very interesting question. We're still on your happiness, right? Where do you think this desire to make people happy comes from?
Definitely from my mother.
Okay, tell me.
Roshni Akka will know this for a fact.
Okay.
I think it's a gene that's been passed down.
Mom is that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Roshni will and can confirm this, that my mother is one who throws love unconditionally. So when I was younger, I had a lot of friends, boys who grew up with me since we were 5, 6. Because we lived in Klang, and we were all in the same taman. So my house was the hangout house. But over the years, that knowing my mother, from calling her auntie, they started calling her Amma. Hello, Double D. So, yes, in fact, even Double D, when I was talking about my DJ partner, this is the guy, DJ Double D. This is my amazing Sifu who taught me the DJing ropes. So I owe my DJing career to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Double D.
Yes, so even Double D calls my mother Amma. And she would always tell everybody that she doesn't have one son, but she's got 26 sons. She would do things like this. And every girlfriend that these brothers of mine had would bring them back to meet my mom. And It was always a joyous occasion. So I guess that's where it comes from, just to simply put it. Yes, the desire to
Nice,
give.
nice.
She loves cooking, and she loves cooking. Like if you go to my Amma's house, she will not let you leave without eating. She will not do it. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Double D says Amma is awesome. What is Amma's name? Tell us a little bit about Amma's name, and then we will.
Amma's Tamil name or Amma's cool name?
We want to hear both because now we know how she's inspired you. So, what is Amma's
Amma's
Tamil
Amma's
name?
name is Tilegavati, but she goes by the cool name of Tina. So everyone knows her as Auntie Tina.
Oh, we have to do the auntie. Okay, Auntie Tina. Oh no, I don't know. I don't think I'll call her Auntie Tina. She's probably Tina Akka for me,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yes. I'm sure she's Tina Akka.
Hello,
Thank you
Cheryl. Yeah.
so much for giving us frame, and thank you for, all the way you've inspired. Now, I want to go back to one more story before I start throwing in the question, because we have a lot of questions coming through, and we need to get to your love story, right? Because that's what people have gathered here. Tell me, how did you then, because I like the part that you said you wanted to connect with your father and you did IT, and then, of course, you messed up and stuff like that, right? How did you then find a way to reconnect with your dad?
So my father and I, over the years, my father's a very quiet man, literally a man of few words. And some of my friends would make fun of him and say, "If your father spoke, ask him for a number because we can win. We can win." Or if your father spoke, is gold coming out, quickly go stand in front of his. Literally,
Yeah.
this and Roshni, who's watching this, will confirm this as well. Literally, a man of few words. So my dad and I have a very interesting relationship. When I was growing up, we spoke when we needed to speak. Other than that, there was no relationship. We were not very close. So, but because of that, because I'm such a chatterbox, so when I give you, I want back. I want to talk to you. If I talk to you like this, mother, and then you just after a while, I'm like also. So I tried connecting with my dad, but I understood that, hey, he's a man of few words, and some people are just that way. He's probably introvert, and I'm like, let me drink extrovert juice every day. So that's why I connected a lot more with my mother, because my mother's super extroverted, super. Honestly, I don't know how they met actually. Probably at the library. I'm kidding.
Okay, we'll have to do another session on that love story. So, how did you reconnect back with your dad? Or have you?
Yes, we have, but now on a different level. Now that I'm married and I'm a super adult, or at least I hope, like in his eyes, we connect on adult levels. So the conversations now range from politics to finance to adult stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. So during my teenage years, because I started working at a very young age. I started working at 19. I never had the time to connect with my father as a teenager. For me, it was work, 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 goal, goal, goal. Get your goal done, win, keep winning, keep winning. I just wanted to win in life, Yeah. So I actually didn't have. Yeah. Come to think of it, thank you for actually probing that. Because now, come to think of it, I didn't have much time spent at home. I was always on the go doing something. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. I think there's a lot that we can take back from that story. Yeah. I think what you're telling is a child wanting to connect with a parent, right? And because we are different, we have got different values, different preferences, different styles. How we miss out on those opportunities, and perhaps there is something someone will take back from that story. But I want to thank you for sharing something so personal.
Always happy to. I'm an open book.
Thank you. And so, question, right? I'm going to do quickly question because I want to go to your stories, and we have very little time. So just be fast, not very important, because GD Naidu is asking the question. Horrible, that's my friend. Now, if you had a friend who spoke to you in the same way you sometimes speak to yourself, how long would you allow this person to be your friend?
Forever.
Okay, done. Okay, forever, ever. Okay, nice. And I think your friend had asked whether you would try stand-up comedy.
I have dabbled in a little bit of stand-up comedy. I hosted. I went once for an open mic, tried it. And props to stand-up comedians. I do my own stand-up comedy when I MC shows, but it's involved in the show. So again, it comes back to making people laugh and all. But as a stand-up comedian, it's never crossed my mind to actually go and pursue that stand-up comedy. Yes, I've thought about it one, two times, but to actively, I'm like, nah, it's okay lah. I've got my radio, and I think that's enough lah, you know?
You you feel fulfilled with all the things that you've actually done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, which is why you're successful.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mother.
Yeah, yeah. And I liked when when I met you and I asked you whether you thought you were successful. You said yes, because many people will sort of hold on and say, I'm not sure, but you were very confident about how contented you were. So you're so contented. Why you go and do degree now? You're rich already, celebrity already, contented already. What's your problem? Why you go and make other people's life difficult by doing this degree? Tell us, Machan, what's the story?
Um, okay, so the truth, because we're being transparent here, right? The truth, the absolute truth. Um,
Ta-da-da!
after I got married to my wife, I told her that I have lived my dreams. I'm literally contented with my life. I'm so happy I've managed to do everything that I wanted to do, like owning a restaurant, owning a bar. I did it. TV did it. Acting did it. Whatever, name it. I've done it all. So I told my wife, it's your turn to live your dream. So what is it that I can do to help you live your dream? And so my wife is a humanitarian. She works with one of this humanitarian organization. I think I will keep that PNC. If you know, you know. And it involves some high security, whatever lah. Anyway, so one of her dreams is to stay with the organization she's with, but on an international level. And that would involve us making the decision to migrate. And we ultimately, her goal is to end up either in A, Copenhagen, or B, London. Wherever there's an opening, she would try and go. So when I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, okay, cool. What do I do then? Right? I have to give up my career, which is fine. It's not a problem. But what do I do when I go to these countries? I have to have some sort of backing. In Malaysia, and I don't know if this is a good thing to say, but in Malaysia, it's all about connections, really. It's about you knowing who, and the word cable. If you have a strong cable, you are going to get somewhere, or at least open a few doors. So in Malaysia, having met so many people over these course of 20 years in this industry, I know a few CEOs, CMOs, CFOs, and I'm sure if I pick up the phone and rang them and say, hey, look, I need a job. Could I do something? I'm sure they would open the door somewhere or point me in the right direction. But if I went to a new country where English is not even the first language, I didn't want to put myself in that position. So I thought, okay, I need a backup. What's the backup? Okay, have a degree. So if I had a degree plus my experience of 20 years in content creation, entertainment industry, I'm sure I could definitely open a door myself. That is why I decided to go back to studying. That's the main reason. The secondary reason is because I wanted to reinvent myself. You know, we always think that we know so much. But when I went back to studying, I actually realized, oh my God, there's so much more to know, and it's so exciting. Like for example, when I first started studying in mass comm, like when I was in my early teens, newspaper was considered a current media. Now newspapers are considered traditional media. How insulting! I mean, not insulting lah. I mean, but it's the truth, right? Magazines are obsolete. Nobody reads the magazine, so words like magazine, newspapers are now considered traditional media. And then there is the look of the new age media, right? How do you market yourself on social media? This right here is marketing in a way. Us talking to each other. It's brilliant, right? So when I am studying right now, and as I'm writing my papers or assignment, it's this joy of, oh my god, this is something new I've learned today,
Mm.
and that excites me. To when I did my marketing class, I thought I was a genius in marketing. I'm like, please let me close one eye and do this. But then when I started writing, I opened up two eyes in joy because I'm like, wow, you can learn this and apply it here, and now I've learned something new.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I just hold on to that story because you've said two things, and I think we have to say this right. I mean, I think that your first reason to do your degree is really, I don't know whether it's ultimate, but it's really right at the top, in terms of love language and on how you can serve someone you love. You know, I think this is something that all of us can learn from. It's easy to say I love you. It is really easy, but to say that you know what, I'm really satisfied with my life now. I want to support you
Mm.
to have the kind of fulfillment that I've had, the joy that I've had. I think that's a beautiful love story, just before we celebrate Valentine's Day. So thank you so much for inspiring us with that love story. But I'm interested in another love story, which is reinventing yourself, right? So tell us at which point, so did you, as you were pursuing your degree, is that where you decided to reinvent yourself, or you already decided you to reinvent yourself? Where did this reinvention come in?
It was while I was pursuing my degree,
Okay, nice.
because the amount of knowledge that I had gotten over this 3 years,
Mm.
and just learning and learning and learning, I'm like, oh my god, there's just so many. The world is literally waiting for you. What is the saying? The world is your oyster. I don't eat oysters, so I'm staying away from that. So anyway, um, yes, it was the middle of this, and I can reinvent myself. Um, why do I just constantly need to be thinking that I will? Although my passion is radio, and I've told this a million times, I want to die on radio. Then I can really be a legend. but but hey, maybe tomorrow I can do something else related to radio using the knowledge I've gained
Mm,
from this degree that I'm doing.
mm,
For example, if I were to move overseas, hey, maybe I can consult the people in Copenhagen on how to go there, listen to the radio if they're still maybe backward. I don't know. I've never been. If the radio is backward, I take it and go there and like, hey guys, actually I've been in radio 20 years and I'm a new student and I bring you something new.
nice,
Um,
nice,
yeah.
nice. Okay, I'm just putting out the comments, not reading it because we have little time, and I'm going to maximize the time.
I can give you more time. Don't worry. I won't charge you, darling. I love you very
No,
much.
no,
Love
then
you.
this people will be upset with me. But
Uh,
Prem, because you've given us a lot, right? So talk about, so what I really love about your story. I mean, the love story is fantastic. We women are jealous, right? We want you to talk to our husbands, but that's a different show, right? And you definitely will do the podcast with me as to how you've done your branding, right? Because from what we discussed, and that's a consulting space that you're discovering. We realize that, right? But I think what is showing up for me in terms of who you are is that you make a choice that is very true to yourself. You know, whether it was that first degree that you wanted to do because you wanted to connect with your father, right? And then staying true to come out of it, because it takes a lot of courage to be honest and say, I wanted to do this in good faith, it's not working, and I'm not going to cheat myself. Because another person will say, you need to be persistent, you need to forget it,
yeah.
persist and finish it. And none of these things are wrong. But what I see consistently is that you love people so much, yet you keep checking in with yourself to see how through you are to yourself, like in the choices that you make. People can say you messed up, but I think this is the messing up that we need to learn from you, right? Because you check in and you're like, okay, this is not feeling right, so I'm getting out. And then when you did mass communication again, right, you're checking in with Prem and say, how would Prem feel if the sister doesn't get her best chance? Because there's so much love around everything that you do. And now you may say you're doing it for the marriage, but for your wife. But you do it. Whatever you do, you give your all. And it is because you give your all that you are able to now see a totally new perspective of, maybe there is something else that I can give back to the world, which is why you say you're reinventing yourself. Now tell us a little bit, is there anything that you do where you don't give all of yourself?
Mm, hmm, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the lesson, that's the inspiration, that's what the blend of Primo Supremo is all about. Like what Regina said, you're authentic. You love authentically, you give all of yourself, and it is like every other time. So thank you for that. Now, going back to your story of reinventing yourself, right? I think it'd be lovely because two things, right? One is I, I think you started off with the story of you wanting to do for money, why education was not important, and now you're in transition. You got it because you wanted to join your wife wherever she goes, fine. But what you realize is that, hey, there's so much more I'm getting beyond a paper qualification. Now, to the youngsters who are struggling today, because the noise and the voice out there for the young people is, you don't need a degree to be
Mm,
successful. And we
mm,
agree on that. We agree
mm.
on that. But tell me, what have you found out about yourself in the process of doing this degree, and who have you become?
Um, so it's true. Many of the large companies these days don't even ask you if you have a degree because what they're looking for is aptitude and attitude. Very true. But with attitude and aptitude, if you include that with knowledge, then you are heightened to a whole new superpower, right?
Mm,
So, to answer your question, um, what I've discovered about myself is I'm actually quite a disciplined fellow. When I was young, now when my mother always told me this, and again with the different phases of my life is very interesting, and her words run in my mind. She said, when you were younger, obviously during my rebellious stage, she said, day rascal,
there,
you know,
Rascal.
rascal. When you were younger, you had strong willpower. Where did that willpower go to?
Wow.
And I used to think, what is this willpower? Actually, I'm very confused. La. So now my mother's voice is in my head. So what I've discovered is I actually have the willpower to, if I want to do it, I will do it. So sometimes I dread doing an assignment. Who doesn't, right? Because I'm a vocal, visual guy, and then now you're asking me to put things in words. I'm like, ah. So, but if I set that willpower and I tell myself, look, you're going to learn something by typing this out. Whether you're learning how to use the freaking keyboard or suddenly you discover Control F is actually one shortcut. You are learning something.
Mm,
So that is the willpower I have, and I've discovered that that willpower now has come out again, and it's also affected my um, daily life. Once upon a time, Malar, and I'll share this with you. It's just very recent. Pre-pandemic, Prem was a people pleaser. As much as I love people, and because I love doing things for people, I never put myself first. So I would be in party A, partying away, but Malar will call me and say, "Where you lah, day? Hey, I want to see you lah. Come party with me lah." I would drop party A and say, "I gotta go to Malar."
mm.
But at the back of my head, people will tell me, "Hey, you were a secondary invite from Malar. She probably just thought about you and you want to go." But at the back of my head, no, no, no. I just want to go and see Malar so she's happy. But what I've learned now with this willpower that I'm able to is the willpower to also say no and prioritize.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but that makes me want to ask you a question, right? So,
Finish.
because this is really such a powerful thing, and we need to have another podcast surely with you. Uh, you were saying something very strong about having been a people pleaser. As a people pleaser, I perfectly get you, right? But your superpower is making people happy.
Mm.
So, how have you learned how to say no and still stay happy, as well as give the happiness that you think you're giving? So, when you say no,
Mm.
how did you make that shift? Because people are not going to now be happy, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So, tell me, how did you transition, grow, whatever?
I like Cheryl's comment. Your question is all dashat. Memang dashat. It's like taka shooting me like that.
I
um.
still love you, tucker, deeper, okay? So, the tucker is deeper, deeper, deeper.
So what I've learned is if you love people so much, they can love you the same way. So
Nice.
if I tell you no today, it doesn't mean I
Mm,
don't love you any less.
mm,
It means I am either A, prioritizing myself, or B, I'm already doing something which was a prior commitment that I had committed to that shows my credibility as a person. Like, okay, I'm here. I'm not just going to drop it and come for you. So if you can see me as that person, then you deserve my love. But if not, சக்கு கட் பண்ணி போயிருவேன்.
why you spoke Tamil, lah, wey? So for those who don't understand the Tamil, he basically said chakku. That means he's basically cutting in Tamil. That's the sound we make. He will cut
Yeah,
off and just move on with life. And Regina say you just reframe your dopamine fix for yourself. Great. And Deepak says spot on. So fantastic, because you now recognize that if people love you and people are capable of giving you back the same love, right?
mm,
And it's also setting boundaries, right? So
yes,
loving doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries. And I also like the fact that you're reinstating to us, come on, I need to look after myself. I need to love myself. I need to set myself as a priority, and you need to learn how to respect that. And with that,
yeah,
I also want to tell the people that all the example he gave about Malar, I've never met this guy because I haven't got into the. No, I'm glad I'm not in the Chakri Chakri group, but I haven't met this guy. So all the examples that he's giving me, he's actually just giving me either visions or dreams, like the Tamil movie. Imagine I'm with Prem kind of a thing. So I've never met this guy. Yeah, and sing a song. But I can tell you, I've been chasing this guy from last year, and he goes quiet. And this year, my stars changed, and he said yes. So when a celebrity says yes to you, I know I just have to wait, because what I've learned about celebrities like Prem is that when they say yes, they are really trying to fit me in their busy schedule. But I'll also say this about Prem that really moved me, right? When we did this show, I mean, when we did the short conversation, when you asked me about goals, and then I said, okay, let me try this again with Prem, because I really wanted the story of why he wants to do the degree, because I do know a lot of young people are choosing the other path. And I thought people needed to hear from Prem, not knowing his story, right? But after that, Prem responded to me. He said, yes. And he looked at his schedule and he says, he actually made it right, by saying, I've, basically kept you waiting. Let's do this now. And he gave me the dates. And I know that he responded to every of my messages after he said yes. And I think that is evidence of how Prem says what he says, he means what he says, and he keeps his word. Thank you for doing it.
thank you. I appreciate you for the compliment, and I appreciate you for doing this. It's funny that you said something, and I want to say something. I also live by this. Um, Word is bond. When you say something, you got to do it. You got to do it. You know, um, a lot of people just talk about it, but they don't be about it. Yeah.
Nice.
You know where I got that quote from? The famous rapper Pitbull.
Oh, Pitbull. So
Exactly.
Being is more important. Yeah, it's walking the talk, or
I was
being.
looking for an interview to put on air one day, and it came. I came across this, and he was angry about something, and he just said it. You know what? Don't in his very pitbull, Dale, Mister 305. He said, "Don't just talk about it. Be about it." And
Mm,
that's stuck in my head ever since then. Because a lot of people we can talk about it, but we
mm.
don't be about it.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And what we are learning, and what I'm learning from you as well, is that, and I think this is true. Sometimes we jump into conclusions and jump when people are not responding to us. I think
Mm.
response is important. Telling people to wait is okay, but responsiveness is important because that's what you did to me. Like, yes, I will do it, but I'm not ready yet. So I think that's really important, that we don't judge people. I find that people who take a longer time to say yes, I can depend on them more than people who say yes immediately, right?
I love you, Vaishnavi.
Oh, I was just thinking you're going to say something nice to me, but never mind. That's absolutely who he is. Yes, he will always take time to reply to messages. There's no ghosting. Oh, what a beautiful word. Thank you, Vaishnavi with Prem. Love him for that and more. Yeah.
Can I just
Uh,
make a shout out to Vaishnavi? She's one of the closest people in my lives. She's my ex producer, but ever since she left, she's now just part of my life, and I don't think she'll ever leave because she's amazing.
Nice. Thank you, Vash, for coming in and doing the shout out. And I think these are things that we want to learn from, be inspired from you. I know it's time, but I have one question, because I think
Ask
when.
3, ask 5. Who is saying what time nonsense? We will talk. Number peso.
Okay, so I wanted you to tell us a little bit about. So I'm going to do this for another 10 minutes at least, because I think this is an important story that I want, right? So tell us about your branding journey. I know that you're very good with branding. That's what you're doing for the other businesses, that you're representing, either on radio or on everything else. And you have agreed that you'll do a podcast on personal branding with me, Prem, correct? Betul?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, we have it recorded. So I'll do a special podcast with him, because we want to understand how he thinks about branding, because he's intuitive, and I think he's done a lot for his clients, and he can do a lot more for us by sharing his experience, which he has agreed privately and now publicly. But tell us the story of why you branded yourself as Primo Supremo.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
So, credit is always due and it needs to be given. So, the
Mm,
one person that I learned branding from and by observing and talking to is the singer, songwriter, producer, Resh Monu.
mm,
All right. Now, why I say this is because Hirish, myself, if you look at us, we are just any other Indian guy out there. But why was Resh Monu remembered? Why until today he's remembered is brilliant. It's because of the one thing that he did different, and that's
mm,
his hair,
mm,
right? The moment you see funky hair, it even can be someone else, but you will think Resh Monu, and that's absolute brilliant branding for me.
mm,
And so why I decided to call myself Primo Supremo or brand myself that is, I'll be absolutely honest. My name is Prem Shanker. If you Google Prem Shanker, not like I've done it. Okay, I'm lying. I have. There'll be like a million and 20 million 20 fellas out there, and every other fellas from India. I know this for a fact. Lots of Prem Shankars are from India, right? But what's going to differentiate me from every other Prem Shankar out there?
mm,
Okay, yes, I have the advantage of being on radio, but it comes down to branding. People
mm,
need something to remember by. I don't want to be just remembered by the stations I have been with. You know, sometimes when
mm,
you save your contacts, I am still remembered as, sometimes people go like, oh, Prem Shankar Fly FM, Prem Shankar Mix FM, Prem Shankar Hits FM, whatever. I don't want to be defined by that. So I needed to be me. And I thought about, hey, let's just create this avatar, this alter ego, whatever you want to call it. whatever you want to call it, right? And I wanted like a name that people would remember easily. Rhyming always works. When you rhyme, hey, your nursery rhymes, you still remember it till today, right? So I thought about it and I was like, okay. There was this cartoon called Timo Supremo. I don't know if you remember that. And then I was like, let's go with Primo Supremo, I guess, hey, and see where this goes. So people now either A, remember me as Primo, which I am not complaining. It's still part of the brand. Or people call me Supremo. Or some people look at me from, hey, Primo Supremo. And okay, it's worked.
Nice.
And 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 the story relates to me. Again, when you brand yourself or brand anything, it's about relatability. It's about the connection. You can't just simply go and brand something, and if you don't have a connection with anyone, you are going to fail.
Nice. And so, Primo Supremo, what is your superpower?
My superpower is what you're doing right now,
Which is?
making you smile.
Ah, nice. So that is Primo Supremo, making everyone smile, bringing happiness to everybody's heart, so that
One
you
smile at a time.
one smile at a time, bringing it to you and making you fall in love with him over and over again. So, Primo Supremo, before we end, right? So, if there's one thing you want people who are listening in today or watching it later, if there's one thing you want to say to them, what would that be?
Thank you. I'm grateful, and I just want to say thank you for being there for me, however you have been there for me. By watching this, by listening to this, you are being there for me. And that is a support system I have because of you. This comments have come in, the interaction that I've had, the chats, just looking at the comments, is just beautiful. Because it shows people care and they are engaging with the content that we're putting out. So I'm grateful for this life. I'm grateful for you, Malar. I'm grateful for this computer in front of me. And I'm just grateful for everyone.
Ah,
Um, yeah.
thank
That's
you.
what. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
don't want to
Thank
give
you.
any advice because you know what? The world is full of advice, and you can go online and just Google quote of the day and you'll get your advice. So, you know what? I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, love you, Prem.
Love you too.
Now, before we leave, I know Roshni has said something, and do one ad for us lah for this show. We are ending at series 100, right? So 15
Okay.
more to go. So can you please tell people in your Primo Supremo, can you please subscribe to this channel, please? Can you do us a
Yes.
favor? Yeah.
Yes. If you're watching this or if you're going to hit the share button on this, you are doing it for a good reason because this is the most realist show that you will have out there. And I promise you, sitting here on this couch, I have never felt so real, so open. And that is why you should subscribe to the channel. If you want real quality, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share.
Thank you very much, Prem. It was so good to have you say that. I really,
I am
I'm going to,
actually quite good with branding, huh? I didn't realize.
yeah. That's why we're going to do the podcast.
I will, yes.
Yeah, and because you have an unconscious way of doing that. So, Prem, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being you. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you being the love of our lives. Not just in our hearts and our minds, but in our ears, ringing every morning. And now I don't know how many people wake up with your laughter and probably even sleep with your laughter. So, thank you. I wish you all the best, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person and getting a real hug for a change. So, with that, thank you. Love you.
Love
Everybody,
you too,
thank you for
man.
joining us. And as we say bye to Prem, yes, we have said bye to him. I want to thank everybody who's come in and said hello to us and given us your comments, specifically the ones that validate Prem Shankar, because I think he's amazing. So with that, thank you very much. Until I meet you in Being Whole, Being Me series 86 with another interesting guest. probably a controversial topic because it's Valentine's week next week. This is Malar signing off from Hearts and Minds. Until I see you next week, stay well, stay safe, and stay real for Prem's sake. Bye.